the pleasure of introducing Abby Howard. She's Purdue's Associate Director of Fraternity, Sorority, and Cooperative Life. Abby will discuss how Purdue impacts the lives of so many students. You'll have to give us that number by supporting one of the nation's largest fraternity, sorority, and cooperative life communities. I'd like to know that number too. So hello and welcome. Could everybody please give her a round, a virtual applause? Can we do this on here? I think we can. Yay. Thank you. Well, go ahead and start with just a little bit about your background, because with every guest, we always like to know a little bit about them before they dive into the work that they do for Purdue. So I'll start with the question. So can you tell us a little bit of where you grew up? What was your childhood like? And who were your greatest influences?
So I grew up in a very small town in central Illinois called Waverly. It was a town of about 1,400 people. So only one high school and elementary school in the city. Did a lot of co-ops of sports to make sure that we had a football team. We had an agreement with two other schools, and we were the WFNB, so Waverly Franklin New Berlin football team. I participated in cross country, so we collaborated with the Franklin school system to make sure that we had enough people to participate in a lot of our sports. And so much has changed since I have left that town. But growing up, I really leaned on my parents, especially my mom. After I was 12 years old, my dad began working in California. So my parents were still together, but my dad was gone a lot of the time. And so my mom was really that person that I leaned on for support, and helped just be the big sister of three younger siblings, and did what I could to be a good role model for them, while also like really leaning on my mom. And I think a lot of my coaches for different sports, because that was the one way to keep us out of trouble and keep us entertained in a small town, was just participating in sports and really trying to find ways to grow and just see more of the world of central Illinois. And if you want, I can start talking about like how I got into college or what I did.
Yeah, just in a few questions. I just have one more.
Okay.
Ladies, if you know Waverly, let's give a thumbs up. People know Waverly here in the chat. I'm just kind of curious. I love that name. Okay. Looks like it's not known. It must be a really tiny town. Okay. Okay, thank you. Tell us what happened in 8th grade. That I think is just amazing, but go ahead and share with the crowd.
So in 8th grade, our English teacher, she gave us a prompt for an assignment dealing with poetry. While she's talking about the expectations for this assignment, I'm just already writing. The brainwaves are flowing and I'm figuring out what I want to say. And by the end of it, I asked, can I have you look at what I'm writing to see if this fits the expectations? And one of the things that I got from that was it was very emotional of a read for my teacher, and she encouraged me to look into submitting this poetry for publication and an opportunity for a scholarship. So I submitted it, and now I can officially say that I am a published poet because of a poem that I wrote in 8th grade.
Yay! I'm going to give you a virtual applause here. Congratulations. I'm so proud of you. That's awesome. I lived at 8th grade. What were we doing in 8th grade, ladies? I'm not sure if I had anything together, but that's great. Wonderful. And in December of 2022, you want to share what happened then?
December of 2022. Why am I forgetting?
That's okay. We'll come back to it.
What I'm thinking of is that in December of 2022, I officially got notified that I was getting my job here. And so if that's what that is what is coming to my mind.
Okay, so that's wonderful. And that you became a tita, an aunt. So that's wonderful. Congratulations.
Yes. Oh my goodness. She is about to celebrate her first birthday. So very excited to
I
go see
bet.
her.
I bet.
Was informed just the other day that she loves saying the word snack. So she's keeping my sister on her toes.
That's cute. That's cute. We love babies. Thank you. Yes, go ahead and tell us about your journey to Purdue. Why Purdue? Yeah, why don't we just start there?
Absolutely.
Thanks, Betty.
So
So, well, Betty's saying welcome to Purdue University.
thank you, Betty. I greatly appreciate it. So prior to even thinking about Purdue as an option, I was at New Mexico State University and had been the Fraternity and Sorority Life advisor there for 3 years. Um, Brandon Cutler, who is the director of Fraternity Sorority Cooperative Life here at Purdue, reached out to me and asked if I would be interested in applying for the associate director role that had opened for the community here. Because it aligned with a lot of my professional goals of supervising full-time staff and working for a larger institution and actually being on a team instead of an office of one, I really took the opportunity to apply and kind of challenge myself in a different way. Purdue just seemed like a great place, especially with the soon arrival of my niece, wanting to be closer to family and opportunities to see her, support my sister, visit my parents and brothers more. And so Purdue just was that place. Interviewed in November. So actually right around this time last year, I was on campus and meeting different staff at Purdue, students and alumni, and started on January 5th of 2023. And my second day on the job, I attended what our office has as a Council and President's Leadership Academy. So it's a training for our new leadership in the community to help support them so they can be strong leaders to help support their peers.
Okay. I bet that was an intense 2 months. It's not.
It was definitely fast, and also just the first week on the job was really quick. So second day in, and I'm staying at a hotel because I can't even move into the place that I'm at now, and going to a camp at Camp Tecumseh to support a student leadership retreat. So
In
very
January.
busy time.
Well, welcome. We're welcome. We're very happy to have you here tonight to talk about sorority, fraternity, and co-op life. So let's just go ahead and start with the beginning. Before we do that, I think, Joyce, you were saying, if everybody could just put in the chat if there was if you had an issue of seeing my slides at the beginning, just trying to figure out what is happening here, or if it was okay. Just put okay or not okay for the slides, if you were able to see them or not. Okay. I'm not sure then what happened, but thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you responding to that. Because with all these virtual calls and webinars that we're doing, we need to make sure that we're checking all our, checking out everything to make sure that we are trying to deliver the best, service or webinar possible. So thank you for that. We'll go ahead and start sharing your slides. And Stephanie, if you mind, go ahead, please.
So Purdue Fraternity Sorority Cooperative Life has been with us or been a part of Purdue's community for a very long time. We're about to celebrate 150 years. So Stephanie, if you would advance to the next slide, please. So one of the things that I wanted to highlight, because there is so much rich history with the 150 years that Purdue Fraternity Sorority Cooperative Life has been here, I really wanted to highlight this book that Angie Klink helped put together, and it is for sale. So if you have a phone, you can scan that QR code to have access to the link where you can make a purchase of this book, but it details the history of our community. I know that the office worked in partnership with Angie to make sure that as much rich history that the community has was presented in this. And so if you see something that isn't there, uh, the office, I think, just didn't have that knowledge or that information shared with them or available in the archives. But really wanting to highlight the kind of beginnings of the community here at Purdue. The first fraternity was founded in 1875. That was Sigma Chi. And then in 1915, it was Kappa Alpha Theta Sorority, which is part of our Panhellenic community. In the 1930s, specifically 1933, cooperative housing began at Purdue, with the first women's cooperative being Ann Twiddell. And then other organizations, I don't have all of those details because there's just so much. But the National Panhellenic Council and our Multicultural Greek Council began as well, with other sororities adding to our women's organizations under the Purdue Fraternity Sorority Cooperative Life umbrella. Now we have many of the organizations that make up the community, which is about 90 different organizations. 63 of them are housed somewhere within the West Lafayette area. Several of them have support from individuals like yourselves. And that's what makes them be able to just prosper over those 150 years. Several distinguished graduates are a part of our fraternity sorority cooperative life community. Also, I will make it clear that I might start calling it FSCL because fraternity sorority cooperative life is such a long title. So please forgive me if I start using our alphabet soup, as I like to call it, with the FSCL and other acronyms. But really wanted to highlight this because I think Angie does such a better job than I could ever of highlighting the history of the Purdue community. It's a wonderful book. And thank you, Betty, for adding that in there. It is really a great way to just dive into the history and see kind of like where we began and where we are today. If you would like to advance the slides, Stephanie, that would be appreciated. Thank you.
Abby, before you continue, can you remind the audience again how they can get that book?
Yes, so you can go to the website on that QR code, or if you're not able to access the QR code that I provided, please email me and I will be happy to send you the direct link. I believe it is at the Purdue Press. So if you go to that website, let me double check what I have on my notes. Yes, press.purdue.edu. Pledge and Promise is the book that you would be able to purchase.
And your email address is under your name there.
Yes, my email address is in my name, so I will be sure to also add that to the chat whenever there becomes an appropriate point for me to type that in. But happy to send the direct link to you all. So kind of transitioning into who we are. So currently this is the staff at the FSCL office. Our director is Brandon Cutler, who is the gentleman to the far left of the screen. And then Donnie Otto, who serves as our assistant director and advisor to the Multicultural Greek Council and Purdue Cooperative Council. And then I myself have just began advising the Interfraternity Council, and then Haley Davis, who started with us in the summer. She is the assistant director and serves as the Panhellenic Council advisor, as well as the National Panhellenic Council advisor. So all four of us have varying years of experience working with fraternity, sorority, cooperative life, but we all hope to support one of the largest communities of fraternity and sorority cooperative life in the country. We make up 6,500, or we are made up of 6,500 students, and each council has a varying number of chapters or organizations. But our mission, as we serve the students and alumni of the Purdue Fraternity Sorority Cooperative Life, is to provide a meaningful co-curricular experience through academic support, leadership development, civic engagement, and organizational excellence. In the next slide, we have a lot of great information to share that are kind of our braggables. So we have 5 councils, which is very unique. Not all communities across the nation have 5 councils. Purdue Cooperative Council is probably our most unique council, as it is very unique to Purdue and Purdue's history. 18% of undergraduate students are a part of our organizations. And sorry, I'm going to have to shift some things so I can make sure that I'm seeing all of the numbers and highlighting that. 90 plus organizations make up our community. And then in 2022 to 2023 academic year, chapters gave over $700,000 in charitable donations. Each organization is required to do community service hours, and each student that made up our community had 5+ hours of community service. We were able to have over 1,700 new members join in the fall of 2022. And we have some of the highest graduation rates for 4, 5, and 6-year students, and it's higher than the Purdue average. And then we had a 3.24 FSCL GPA, which was the 19th consecutive semester above the Purdue undergraduate GPA. So very notable community with lots to highlight. I think the coolest thing, though, is having 6,500 students that are interested in being a part of these organizations because they see the value that it adds to their academic experience at Purdue and really helps build upon that sense of belonging. So it's been a very wonderful time in my 11 months here supporting this community.
Ladies, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. We've gotten a lot of hearts and thumbs up. If you don't mind, Stephanie, putting that last slide up, because there's a lot of good information on that. And I think I did have some questions there. Oh, Sharon's asking, where did you where did you do your undergraduate degree?
So I earned my undergraduate degree at Eastern Illinois University, just over in Charleston, Illinois, which is 45 minutes south of Champaign-Urbana. So grew up experiencing the Big Ten without actually being enrolled at the Big Ten or at a Big Ten institution by visiting U of I many times. Yes, I was, as I saw, Sharon, that you asked, I was in a sorority, and I am an active alumna of Alpha Sigma Alpha sorority. I really enjoyed my experience, and that is kind of what helped influence me to become a fraternity and sorority life professional. My undergraduate degree was sociology with a minor in business administration, and specifically with business administration, I focused in marketing, but I wasn't set on what I wanted to do. So I attended Oklahoma State University, where I earned a master's degree in educational leadership studies with a focus in college student development. So very much focused on student development theory and leadership theory, which has helped me be able to kind of advise and develop the young leaders that we have coming through at Purdue. I also really wanted to take the opportunity in graduate school to have an assistantship to help pay for that graduate education, and was fortunate to have a graduate assistantship offer from Oklahoma State University, where I served as the IFC graduate teaching assistant and helped support over 21 fraternities on that campus, in addition to the other organizations, but primarily Interfraternity Council.
Thank you. Thank you. There's a number of people on the call that are not very familiar with Greek life. in general. Can you just walk us through what does that look like for a freshman coming onto campus and saying, what does it mean to rush? What is Greek life? How do I choose? What am I getting myself into? Why should I do this, etc.? Can you just lead us through what that first couple of weeks or months look like for someone that might be interested in this?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one thing to highlight is that it's different on many campuses. Some campuses do have what they call deferred recruitment. So it requires students to wait until second semester of their freshman year or even until their sophomore year to join an organization. At Purdue, we're fortunate that students are allowed to join as soon as they get to campus. They can go through the recruitment process. For the cooperative system, it is a little bit different. They're able to come through and participate in recruitment in the spring semester while they are still in high school, if they know that the cooperative system is for them and they want to have that more affordable housing option and the other leadership opportunities and experiences that cooperative life offers to them. So they will come to campus in the spring. There's 2 different weekends that they will go through that process. The Cooperative Council right now actually is preparing to do their high school outreach to let students know how to go through that process. And beyond that, once students get here in the fall, they are able to attend our meet, fraternity, sorority, cooperative life. And so all the organizations have tabling, and the students are able to come and ask questions from the students that are in those organizations to determine what organization might be the best fit for me. What's different with our Panhellenic community is that we have a primary recruitment or a formal recruitment process, and it goes over about 2 weekends ideally, but sometimes if we have a home football game, it will go into kind of 3 weekends, so that way the women can attend the football game and not have to worry about hosting recruitment events. And so the women will register for recruitment, attend different events each day, and kind of select who they would like to go back to. And the sororities have the opportunity to select who they would like to see back. So we call that a mutual selection process. For our National Panhellenic Council and Multicultural Greek Council students, if they have interest in those organizations, they attend an interest meeting where they learn about that organization, and then they go through an interview process. And then the organization determines, is this an individual that we would like to extend membership to? And they go through a new member process until they get initiated. And then they have the new member presentation where they are then presented to the community as a whole and are welcomed into the organization. So theirs is a little bit more secret at times, but it's a very unique experience that makes sure that they are getting people that are going to uphold the values of their organization. So that is a process that has been identified that works for them. But so each one does it a little bit differently, but we are always happy in the office to support students that have those questions. So if you know of an individual that is coming to Purdue and has questions, please send them our way. We would love to support them and answer any lingering questions that they may have.
Okay, thank you. You've got a question from Patsy and from Linda.
Yeah, so Patsy, my role within the office, primarily I help with health and safety initiatives. So I support the students in hazing prevention, substance misuse, and helping them address like how to have conversations with members on that, whether that's alcohol or other drugs. So how are we providing an environment where they can have those healthy conversations? I help them talk about well-being or wellness and mental health. So we try to bring in people that can help address those issues that we see around health and safety and risk mitigation. That's my primary focus as the associate director. I've just recently taken on the responsibility of being the advisor for the Interfraternity Council. And so there's 41 different fraternities that are in that council. And so supporting the executive officers and leading that community is primarily what our office does. So Haley, for example, supports her two council's executive officers in making leadership decisions and helping guide their community and following policies and helping them just understand what their own national organization may expect or what Purdue expects for those that don't have a national office like our cooperative system. So helping them just have the best practices in place and helping them navigate policies and insurance expectations. Looking at Linda's question, so I'm not sure how old Fraternity, Sorority, Cooperative Life is. I know that there was a rebranding of the name to include Cooperative Life, I believe somewhere around 10 years ago. And if I have that number wrong, I am terribly sorry for those that know that information better than I. But Fraternity Sorority Advising at Purdue has been around, but it's looked a little bit different based on different administrations and different rules of thought within higher education. Some institutions didn't think that Fraternity, Sorority, Cooperative Life needed a specific advisor, so many times they were sent to the same people that advised all student organizations, and some of that still exists today for smaller universities where they might only have one or two fraternities and sororities. So not every campus has a Fraternity, Sorority, Cooperative Life office, but universities do try to have somebody, whether it's one person with a graduate assistant, one professional staff member, 2, 3, 4, it all varies in size for who they have to support the students that are in those communities. I will say that Purdue does have one of the smaller staff for a Fraternity and Sorority Cooperative Life office. In the Big Ten, many of them vary in size, and we are on the smaller end. So always looking for ways to provide support for students, and that really is possible by having volunteers and mentors involved in the organizations, because we know we couldn't do this work without the volunteer and mentoring support from alumni. And Tina, there's not, they're not really called a rush counselor, but for sorority recruitment, we do have Gamma Chis that help the Panhellenic recruitment process and help the women or potential new members, sometimes called PNMs, support women going through that process, answering questions, helping them know where each house is located, what bus they need to get on, since our community is very spread out in West Lafayette, and we want to make sure that they get there in a timely manner. So we do have those individuals. They're just probably called something a little bit different than what may have existed in Purdue's history. Keep track of the percentage of students who want bids to specific fraternities that actually get bids. Yes, so we do try to keep percentage of that, or at least try to have those rates. I don't know if we have the numbers from this year. And typically that's not a question that we like, or a data point that we share out. It might be something that we have internally, Nicole, but we try to keep the match rates. So specifically for Panhellenic, we get those numbers back from the National Panhellenic Council. So they'll share like what our return rates were and what retention looked like through the Panhellenic recruitment process. The fraternities kind of have a similar process, but since registration isn't necessarily required, some men do get offered a bid or invitation to membership without ever being registered. So it's harder to say sometimes on the retention of those members, since we don't have a formal fraternity recruitment process. And the same kind of goes for our MGC and NPHC For PCC, I am still learning those numbers, and I only witnessed their recruitment process in the spring. But I know that they are always tracking on how that goes. And there's always huge interest in our women's cooperatives. So I know that that is a very or can be a competitive process, since our women's cooperatives do have some different variations in how they keep their membership. And so it's up to their organizations to determine how much they can take in a given semester or year. Percentage of these that have house mothers. So I would say that one's also a little bit trickier. So while we have 63 housed organizations, not all of them have to have a house mom. It depends on the national organization. Purdue does not require there to be a house mom. We only require that you follow your national organization's expectations. So I don't believe our cooperative system has any house mom, but they do have advisors. Most of our fraternities do have somebody that lives in house, but not all of them. So thank you for that question, Patsy. I'm sorry, I don't know the exact percentage for that. And then Sharon, yes, there are still little sister or big and little programs, but little sisters being across both fraternities and sororities. So having like a big brother to a little sister or a big sister to a little brother, that is not something that happens in the community anymore or nationwide, just because that started to open the doors for a lot of unwanted or undesired behavior or unsafe practices. So there's a big little program within each individual chapter or organization, but not cross-organizational. How many of the Big Ten cooperatives or Big Ten schools have cooperatives, Betty? I believe Purdue is the only one in the Big Ten, and I could be completely wrong, but I don't remember that from our Big Ten fraternity and sorority professionals gathering that we had over the summer. So I think it's a unique experience in the Big Ten to Purdue. Greek life, yes, Patsy, is always expanding at Purdue. Currently, we have a Sigma Alpha Mu associate chapter starting at Purdue. So associate chapters mean that they have not been given their charter from their national office yet. So many of them are constantly coming to Purdue. And then have any of them closed in the past 10 years? I am not sure if any have closed in the past 10 years. I know that some of them may have dissipated in membership or have been closed by their national office, but Purdue has not closed any group in the past 10 years. And I could not potentially tell you that number. I am so terribly sorry. I did not come prepared with some of these questions or answers to these questions. Y'all are asking really great questions.
I could put these questions in an email to you, and then maybe we can put it as a email, Patsy, in the group here, the answers afterwards.
Absolutely. And that's really great fact to share, Libby. Thank you. I'm glad that they're making a return to campus.
Lots of great questions here. I was like, okay, thank you for everyone. Please keep them coming. While they're doing that, what would be your call for the students that are graduating to action, that graduating from Greek life? What would your advice be for them?
My call to action for anyone graduating from fraternity, sorority, cooperative life is thinking about how they're going to stay involved post-graduating. Many of the opportunities that they have are from volunteers and from those that are willing to give their time, talent, treasure back to the organization that they were very passionate about as an undergraduate student. So thinking about how they wish to stay involved at Purdue or stay involved with their national organization, I think is something that would be my call to action for them, is just thinking about like ways to support something that helped support them be a well-rounded professional.
Can you talk to us a little bit about what your alumni volunteers are doing to help support FSCL?
Yes. So a lot of our alumni volunteers are volunteering as an advisor for a chapter or cooperative organization. So whether that is being the main organization advisor or serving on an advisory board. So that is typically a group of men or women supporting the organization undergraduate members. Some of them, they have like a treasurer advisor that helps just the treasurer of that organization manage finances, think about budgets, and know like how to handle the financial questions that come their way. There's individuals that help with risk management and making sure that the students are thinking about health and safety in their organizations. There's individuals that also serve on a housing corporation. So they help the students understand the importance of the housing that they have and support them in understanding housing contracts. They help with getting somebody to come and fix a fallen tree in the yard. There's so many different avenues for housing corporation that I cannot speak to, as I have not been an advisor or been on a housing corporation. But what they do, I am always blown away by, because housing is not easy. And so dealing with such a larger house that so many of our undergraduate students live in can be really tricky. And so supporting them or supporting the housing corporation and making sure that expectations, whether that's fire code, city code, general like upkeep of the house or maintenance, I guess, is being attended to. There's so many different avenues for involvement. We also have advisors or alumni that come back and help support Fraternity, Sorority, Cooperative Life office by just participating in things that we're asking whenever we do like a call for advisors or a call for volunteers, and they put it in their name and they let us know like, hey, is there a way to get involved in an organization, even if it might not be their own, or we just help them get connected with the national office and find ways where they're helping not just Purdue chapters, but chapters across the nation, just deliver programs or whatever it is that that national organization might need from alumni advisors.
Thank you. I would be curious if you could put in the chat, ladies, if you've ever served as a volunteer or an advisor for FSCL. If you could just put yes in the chat, that would be great. I'm just curious. So while they do that, on this screen, you put 5 hours of community service per member. Can you just give us 2 examples of some kind of community service activity that students have done?
Yeah, so a lot of our students, they have helped with cleaning up the West Lafayette community or a highway or whatever. So I think of some of the fraternities, they have adopted a portion of 231 and they help make sure that that area of 231 is kept clean. Some of them have gone to different homes within the West Lafayette community and they help rake leaves, or they help with other like house upkeep. Others have assisted with food pantries or soup kitchens and making sure that there's support in those. And some, they will go and walk dogs at the local animal shelters. Some will participate in after school programs for local elementary or high school after school programs. There's so many different ways that they participate in community service, but we always make sure that we emphasize that community service is about giving your time. So what is it that you're doing that is giving your time and different from the charitable giving that your philanthropic organizations may be asking of you?
That's wonderful. Thank you. And did you see how many ladies put in the chat that they have volunteered in one way or another? So thank you for that.
Yes, thank you so much.
If we could go ahead and stop sharing. Can you believe that we have only 8 minutes left? Where does the time go? Multiple positions, so many people. Thank you, everyone. So happy that this resonated with you, the topic for tonight. So, so as Abby said, her email is under her name. If you want to contact, reach out to her. There it is, howardal@purdue.edu. There will be a recording of this session in the Purdue for Life YouTube channel, and you should get an updated email about this. But like we do for all the other cocktails and conversation, we will end with a lightning round. Kind of prepared you for that. There's not a lot of in-depth thinking, but you could just answer the questions. It's only 25. But really fast, right? Like under a minute. Okay. Ladies, I know that some of you also, you've called me and said, I want answer too. Go for it. But sometimes it's nice if we can also help our speaker. Sometimes they get stuck too. But if you want to put your answers in the chat, go for it. Love to see those answers. So are we ready? And while you're doing that, you can also get your cocktail glass ready because we'll take a picture at the end. I am unofficial advisor. Oh, lovely. You're getting a lot of nice compliments, Abby. This is great. I'll share with you the chat notes. Okay. You ready?
As ready as I can be.
My super strength is?
Adaptability.
If you could speak to anyone, who would it be and why?
I've always wanted to speak to Abraham Lincoln just to know what his thought process was at that time in the US.
Me too, ditto. Would you rather travel to the past or to the future?
I think the past would be cool to learn from what we did and how we've moved forward.
Okay. If you got to choose your name, what would it be and why?
Oh, I would keep Abby. The story behind my dad picking this name was
awesome. Okay. What TV show would you want to be in?
Oh goodness. I'm always a sucker for NCIS. So I think that would be fun.
Do you have a secret talent and can you do it right now?
I can
She did it, everyone. It'll be captured. Thank you. What is your pet peeve?
Whenever people sniff up their nose instead of just blowing their nose.
Okay. You have a nickname?
So many abs, a babby, Abby Gabble. Yeah, the list goes on.
I haven't heard that one. You've lived in 5 states. Which one was your favorite and why? Apart from Indiana, of course, and West Lafayette campus. But
I really enjoyed living in New Mexico. It's a beautiful state with so much to see, and the weather is a lot more tolerable in the winter months.
Oh, we're about to hit cold weather. Okay. What item do you hope will be obsolete in 20 years?
Oh,
you can pass if you want.
I will pass.
Okay. Humans or dogs?
Oh, I love both.
I know, that's fine. It's a trick question. What character from a movie, book, show do you relate to the most and why?
Hermione Granger from the Harry Potter series.
Oh, how cute. I love that one. What is it?
Definitely.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was answering the why. Definitely because of just interested in knowledge and learning more. And
I can see that with your yep, see that. What is a food combination people eat that you just can't get behind? For example,
I don't really know if a combination, but extremely spicy food. I can't. I want to enjoy my food and not have my mouth on fire.
Obviously. What's the one item you can't live without? Okay. What is your favorite? What is your favorite line from any movie? That's okay.
I will have to pass. There's so many.
If you could attend any celebrity wedding, which would it be?
A celebrity wedding? Whoever Taylor Swift gets married.
No, I was gonna say, I bet she says Taylor Swift tonight. Tell us about your published work in a few sentences.
It's very invoking. It is very personal, and it is about pets.
Okay. If you could meet any author, who would it be and why?
Oh, I will have to pass. That one's
Okay.
hard.
The best part of your work?
Best part of my work is seeing students grow in their leadership roles and where they begin and where they end by the time they're done in their leadership positions. I love seeing those light bulb moments and just that growth for them.
I love that. That's why we work at Purdue. What advice would you give a student considering Greek life? What's the top advice?
Be their self and really think about what their values are, what helps them each day, because that is what's going to help them find an organization that connects with them.
Okay, thank you. What advice would you give parents whose child is considering Greek life?
For parents, the best thing is helping them consider all of their options and
Okay.
think about the pros and cons. So utilizing our office website for resources is definitely helpful.
Absolutely. What do you want people to remember most about tonight?
Hopefully not the number of times that I may have stumbled or said the word like.
That's fine. Purdue is fill in the blank,
Inspiring.
and Cocktails and Conversation is fill in the blank.
Joyful.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming tonight. We really appreciate you being here. You got a lot of compliments in the chat. Thank you for sharing. Boiler up, Hail Purdue, and see you next month at Cocktails and Conversation with Danita. Thanks, everyone. Have a good evening.